many cases when people are, let me take this off, when people are addicted, it's, they use drugs to try to help you deal with your addiction. But to me, logically, that's not something that I would do, okay? You can't heal a person of drug or chemical addiction, right, with chemicals. That's just simple logic, okay? 1 + 1 = 2. So what you do is go from one chemical or drug to another, addicted, okay? And the answer to that is the moment that you're born. Why? Because the cause of addiction, we know, is chemicals. Okay, whatever chemical it is, synthetic chemical or drug chemical, right? When do we start putting these unnatural chemicals in our body? All right? At childhood, okay? Childhood. So right there, you're starting to build your body to be cravenous of what? Chemicals. All right? Mm-hmm. Where are those chemicals? In the food. All right? In the food. All right? So, because we don't look at the labels, and the FDA does not enforce that any chemical in the food to be labeled. So you don't even know you're eating. They label the vitamins, and most of them are synthetic vitamins that they put on the food. But processed foods, we call synthetic junk, okay, or dirt. Why do we call it that? Because most processed foods, okay, is denatured. Okay, they are stripped of the natural fiber. Okay, and though they look like food, they host an abundance, in some cases, an abundance, like peanut butter has 259 chemicals in it. Okay, including turpentine and paint thinners to make it creamy. Right. So you're ingesting this in your body. Your body becomes used to it. Okay? The next thing you know, you're craving peanut butter. Ice cream have over 150. And so you spend your whole life eating popsicles. When you get an adult, you're going to want popsicles. You know, because your body has adjusted to it. The body is assimilative. It's an assimilative organ. That means what you put in, if you keep putting it in so many times, it's going to demand that you give that substance to it. And it's another one. White
flour, yeah.
Flour. Do you know how when they study in diabetes, they give the cow white flour, okay, to give the cow or the animal what? Diabetes. Okay. And you go out here and walk around white flour fried foods, which really is almost impossible to digest in a way. So it what? Stores fat. Mm-hmm. You know, we say, okay, I can't digest this, but I'm gonna store it. Okay. And then you wonder why in America we have so much obesity. Okay. And you become addicted to these foods because in most cases they're drug and chemical host. Okay? So our thing is, okay, I want to get back to what God created for us to eat and not what the corporate system have created. Monsanto said in 1942, he said, we can control the people through the foods.
That's probably why they didn't want to come in here, because everybody got a plate. And it's like I told them, I said, I'm walking into this class with a plate full of drugs.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because people don't want this information, okay? They don't want to know that you've been a drug addict since you was 2 years old. And now when you get off into adulthood, that addictive pattern is working in you. Okay? When you see that child, that ice cream, you know, it's got, over 150 chemicals in it, and they come, the truck come, and they run, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. You know, not realizing that they got these chemicals and drugs, and a chemical is just a drug, in it. All right? So when they get to be an adult and start dealing with adult things like alcohol, drugs, okay? They're susceptible because they have built up a what? Psychological addiction pattern. Okay? Some people stay on the ice cream. You know, and then some people go to alcohol and drug abuse. Okay? And they don't know why, because when they was 5 years old, somebody said, well, what you want to be when you grow up? Nobody said, I want to be an alcoholic. I want to be a drug addict. What changed them? And how did a child who had the aspiration of maybe being a fireman or a policeman or a scientist, how did this aspiration dwindle? Okay? Because he has an addictive pattern from the foods. You understand what I'm saying? This is very important. Okay? Very important to know that the corporate system in the food industry is putting all these chemicals and it looks like food. It tastes like food. But it's a drug. Okay? People don't want to come out of that illusion. They don't want to come out the illusion that, okay, I don't drink anymore. But you get up, first thing you want, coffee with a bunch of sugar in it, or some tea with a bunch of sugar. And not knowing that you're reacting because you think that sucrose sugar is what? Food. When the FDA regulates sucrose sugar as a drug. Okay. It's not even registered as a food. It's registered as a drug. Okay. But we don't want to know that. Why? Because you're addicted to sugar. What they say when you go into counseling for your addiction, they said first you have to admit. The first step is what? Admitting that I have a problem. Admitting that I have an addictive pattern. Okay? So people don't want to know that this popsicle is laden with drugs. Just like the doctor that taught me this, Dr. Lila Africa. I always give credit to my teachers.
I know him.
Yeah, he passed away, but yeah, he did. He passed away about, I guess, 6-7 months ago. All right. And he told me, he said, I would rather treat a person addicted to heroin than a person addicted to sugar. He said, I done seen people with their legs almost falling off from diabetes with a candy bar. It is easier dealing with a person who is addicted to alcohol and drugs than it is dealing with a person who's addicted to white sugar. That was amazing to me. Okay? Because what they do in the sugar cane, that's good. But once you extract that sugar and denature it, okay, and strip it of all fiber, not only is it hard on the digestive system, but on the pancreas, it takes just a teaspoon of sucrose sugar. It takes 3 pancreases to deal with it, and we only got 1. And that's why you got so much diabetes, because we overstrain. It's just like, I can go out and I can pick up 100 pounds, and then somebody said, well, try that 300. What's going to happen when you try to pick up that 300? When your body is used to exercising with 100, you're going to strain those muscles. You got to slowly develop to 300. And so holism is it's developmental. And that's why a lot of people don't really deal with it, because where they can take a shot of drugs and they say, oh, I feel better instantly. With herbal formula, say, hey man, it's going to take about 30 days to stabilize you. Okay? So you have to what? Develop. You got to be consistent. The first thing we used to, when we had the health business, somebody come in with an addiction problem, all right? We give them chickweed and kudzu and some skull cap in order. It's a comative, okay? Chickweed and kudzu attacks that appetite, lessens that appetite, where the skull cap, keeps you from, not you. Okay, because at 7.3, that's the healing level. Okay, see, the body works like this. The less oxygen you have, right, the more disease. Now, in the medical society, they stipulate 5.0 level. No, that's completely in this. You came and said, hey man, I was diagnosed with cancer. I'm gonna put you on a 80% alkaline diet. I'm gonna try to keep your alkaline level to 7.3, because disease cannot exist in an oxygenated body. Disease only exists in an acidic body. Okay, and it grows from that state. You understand what I'm saying? And so when they give you got heroin, and then they give you all these drugs, all they're doing is replacing one addiction with another. What we want to do is retrain the body to eat what God created. Okay? That apple in the tree, that orange, that vegetable from the earth. Okay? That was created for you. Not a chemical that you can't even pronounce. Okay? And so that begins our addictive cycle. And then a person end up in an alley because he can change from sugar, sucrose sugar, to what? Alcohol. Well, he's been taking alcohol all his life. Why? Because when you eat that sugar, especially mingled with bread like donuts, what happens in your body? You eat that donut, that sugar-laden leaven, right? And when it gets to the stomach, you have hydrochloric acid, which heats it up to break it down. In the process of heating it up, what does it do? It begins to ferment. It begins to convert into what? Alcohol. All right? And so you just eating alcohol on a different level. So when you have that first drink at 18, your body say, yeah, that ain't the first drink you had. You had your first drink when you ate that donut. You understand? And that's why I try to have mercy, excuse me, on people who have an addiction like that. I'm not saying you can't ever have a beer, but if you're an alcoholic and your body can't digest that alcohol properly and turn into an addiction where your body becomes dependent on it, then you don't need to drink. Okay. I went to the doctor. No, it wasn't me. It was my brother Doug. He went to the doctor and he had a stomach. He always had a bad stomach, bad digestion. The doctor told him to drink one beer a day. So everything can be used for good. You understand what I'm saying? But if you can't handle it, what's the first thing we got to do? Admit. And how many people want to admit that that popsicle is addictive? That donut is the first alcohol you take in your body. What do they use to make, you ever been to the joint? What they use to make that hooch? Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Sugar and bread. That's the main ingredient.
I never made it in jail.
Yeah, but you know how it's made. So that's the same thing we do when we are eating sugar-laden bread products. We're ingesting alcohol. I was in a room one time when I was in college, and they had this, little group thing. And I had stopped eating sugar. This was about 83, right? And so they brought donuts and stuff in there, and I just was watching. Man, I'm talking about, man, as they begin ingesting this drug, everybody got happy, it got loud, and I just looked. I said, oh, wow. They was acting like people in a disco. And I seen the transition of behavior. That was a confirmation for me. Okay. But if I stood up and said, y'all ingesting a drug. You got bread with no fiber, denatured. Anytime you denature a food and strip it of its fiber, natural fiber, okay, it becomes a drug. Any food that you take to a heat process, I think it's 180 degrees, like they do the cooking oil, okay, they process it through a heating process, right? It becomes a drug. And then you take it home and put more heat on it because it's denatured. Its natural constituents have been destroyed, okay? So you have a whole country, most of these countries, the chemicals that they put in the foods in America is not even allowed. They've been banned. And then you wonder why we're walking around, we're 30 years old, just talking all out our mind. We're drunk. We're drunk. You wonder why you got to give kids drugs in order to, settle them down because they're not eating natural food. Okay. It's called the, if I can spell this right, I'm not sure with acetylcholine. Okay. That's a chemical in which the brain receives this chemical to stimulate message signals. Okay. Goes through the hippocampus of the brain, and it goes through the body, stimulating the electronical impulses and speech, and giving the body that necessary ingredient, okay, so that it can function. You didn't function. When you see a child, 5, 6 year old, right? And he's sitting there and his mouth is open. That says, okay, because what we learned from Dr. Africa is that the outside shows the condition of the inside. Okay. So they said, you ever seen that with some kids? Mm-hmm. His mouth all over. That's frontal lobe disturbance. Okay. And that's where your intellect, your rationality, your moral behavior comes from. Okay. I know somebody in here has experienced this, but we're not aware of it because you've been eating this drug since you was a child. So you think I'm normal. Okay. The first time that I detoxed, I think it was in '82, right? I look like an old man. And the one brother, David from Detroit, he started teaching me about, holistic eating and cleaning my body out. And after 30 days, I thought I was born again. Okay. My thinking ability got sharper. My actions got sharper. My energy level was competent. Okay. But while I was on them foods, what it developed in me is an addiction. Okay? Is an addiction that led me to drugs, that led me to alcohol, because I had that addictive rhythm or behavior before I even took a drug or a cup of alcohol. Huh? But it's normal. It's normal human behavior in America. Mm-hmm. To walk around drugged up, to walk around obese, and the food companies and the medical society don't mind that. It's money for them. It's money for them to replace your hip when you're 30 or 40. Okay? They make big money from this. The insurance companies, the medical, as well as the food company. It's a capitalistic trick to continue generate money because they profit and become millionaires on your debilitation. That's why they won't allow holistic practitioners to receive insurance. I've had a lot of people, I say, hey, why don't you, come and to a class or do, they don't want to pay no cash. I got insurance. Oh, okay. You worried about your pocket and not your health? You're in a state of depression. Why? Because when you eat white flour, which has no fiber, it has been denatured, it is a drug. Okay? Your acetylcholine, say you're supposed to be here. This is called hyper, and this is hypo. Okay? But you don't want it to go over this balanced level. When you eat sugar that has its natural constituents, it is released in the body slowly. When you eat flour that has its natural constituents, the fiber, the carbohydrate element of that food is released slowly. When you strip it and denature it, then you way up here. You go into a hyper state. Okay? You go into a hyper state. So you walking around, you ever seen somebody, and they hyper, and then after a while, it starts going down. But it doesn't go down to its natural level. It goes down to hypo. That's when you're depressed. That's when you're not feeling good about yourself. So you done went from Zoom kid to depression. not feeling good about yourself. Then they come to you with a solution. Well, positive thinking. Positive thinking ain't gonna stop this. This is how the body works. So you go to the doctor and you say, oh man, I'm just not feeling good, I'm depressed. And what do they give you? Or drugs.
That's what mine tried to do. Tell me.
Yeah.
I told her I'm trying to go holistic, and they tell me, well, now you got to watch that because I can't eat natural sugar. I got to monitor that.
Yeah.
And they rather put me on diabetic medications, and pills, and everything.
And when everything that we have to deal with, first of all, we shouldn't be getting sick at an early age. Okay. We shouldn't be experiencing diabetes and heart problems and asthma. Okay, kids shouldn't be having to go through that, but we start them off on what? Cow milk. Mm-hmm. Cow milk is not digestible in the human body. It can't be digested. So our addiction starts at, our addictive pattern is developed at an early age. Okay? So people don't want to hear that, but they know, oh man, peanut butter have 259 chemicals in it, paint in it, turpentine. These are addictive chemicals. So we start that addictive pattern of behavior that keeps us from our highest potential. Okay? You get into depression, you got go-to cola, ego, Damiana, and you combine these in equal part. But if you have a job that, say a sit-down job, then you eliminate the Damiana and you use what? Skull cap. It's a comative or any type of comative, okay? Any type of comative herb, okay? In order to give you that balance. If you got a job where you're very active, then you use the Damiana, okay? That'll get you, because the Coca-Cola oxygenates the brain. It helps the brain to stay active. Okay. Whereas when you go into a hypo from using processed foods that have been stripped of its natural fiber and has been denatured because they use a heat process over 180 degrees, right, to break the food down. So it's no longer food. It's a drug. Okay? It's a drug. People are worried about some matter. I don't worry about alcohol. Okay. I don't worry about cocaine because I know that's just an effect, okay, of the conditioning that we have been through our diet. We have addictive behavior. Okay. Every morning you get up and do what? Eat sugar-laden cornflakes. All right? And we don't know that sucrose sugar is an addictive drug. And it does the same thing in your body that vodka do. Only thing, the vodka is absorbed more quickly where you can feel the effects after a shot. Oh, yeah. Where in the food, it's absorbed slowly, but it still have the same damaging effects. Okay? And we're so programmed towards drug culture, that's why it's hard, man. People, oh man, the first step, man, is to admit I got a problem. Okay? And then we're eating all these dried foods. Okay, this is just an introduction. Okay, we eating all these dried food. What happened? The body cannot digest dried foods. The food has to have liquid in it. Okay, in order to digest. So what happens? Why are so many of us dehydrated, walking around dehydrated? We eat them Doritos and potato chips, and the body says, okay, in order for me to digest this, I have to put water. Where does it get that water from? From the other organs of the body. In order to put it in that that dry food you put in there, and next thing you know, they say, oh, okay, process it, but now your body is deficit of H2O. So
Well, I'm feeling that because I feel like my veins are shrinking.
Yeah, well, that's
tight and dryness from the inside out.
Yeah, that's from too much stress, because junk foods and these type of food cause stress upon the body. Okay, cause stress. It causes the body to overwork itself in order to process it in the body. Okay, and so you have people feeling just like what you're feeling. You know. Okay, put strain on the heart. Okay, so that's why God created what? Comative foods. Okay, to relieve of stress, understanding your nerve points and applying. I apply a lot of essential oil. You know what I mean? To nerve points, and it helps people to, hey, it's like if you got a problem with an organ, you got the nerve points. But the nerve, they try to spiritualize it, but I keep it in science, the chakras. That has nothing to do with your spiritual development. Okay? All it does is calms. Bring calms. You feel like, oh yeah, make you feel better. Okay? But it has nothing to do with something spiritual. You know what I mean? A lot of people try to spiritualize it, but it's not. It's just your meridian points, nerve endings. Okay, that goes to a certain organ. So you can do it that way, or you can do it through teas, but you have to keep the alkaline, okay, in your body, the oxygen level in your body, that we need to know and say, hey, do I have a junk food addiction? Because when you get rid of the cause, you're gonna get rid of the effects. If you're just dealing with the effects, oh man, I drink too much. Why? So we gotta break that addictive pattern. Okay? Oh man, on Friday I got to have my joint. I got to have that snort. Okay? It's an addictive pattern. Because the body, when you do something consistently and create a pattern of behavior, this is what the body, if you do cocaine on Friday, when Friday comes, the body gonna say, I need my cocaine. It's Friday. Okay? I need my cocaine. Because we're simulative beings. Everything we put on our body, everything we put into our body is assimilated. And if it's chemical, the body becomes, this is simple. It's not really that complicated. The body says, okay, I have a pattern of behavior. I have a pattern of intake. Okay? All my life. Okay? I'm hungry. On Saturday, we drink a fifth of whiskey. When thank God it's Friday pattern. So on Saturday, your mind, your body is going to say, we need our fifth of whiskey. That's an addiction. Whether you do it once a week, okay? Beer has yeast and other constituents in it. Ain't nothing wrong with a can when you have a digestive problem that'll help that bowel. You do what I'm saying? But when you're doing $50 a day, okay, now it's what? It's a difference. It's abuse. Okay? And we've been abusing our bodies. Okay? Our parents is ignorant of this. They go get the baby food and they get other things, right? And they don't know. I'm abusing my child. I'm teaching him to live off chemicals. Okay?
I made my wife breastfeed.
Yeah.
She didn't want
Yeah. Breastfeed, that's the best because,
and eat healthy.
yeah, you know,
She didn't have a problem with
yeah.
it too much.
If it's something, a milk that you want for the child when you can't breastfeed, say you don't want to do it in public, then you get goat's milk. Goat's milk is 98% compatible to the human body. Cow milk has no compatibility with the human body. None. And that's why you got kids getting pneumonia because that cow milk produces what? Fleas. Okay? Produces this. You know, because they got all. So these are just some things, you know, in this first class that I just wanted to deal with. The major culprit in food is sugar and white flour. Okay? Them Hostess Twinkies. And so an addict, just like that addict with that bottle, that addict with that Hostess Twinkie is going to react. He said, man, give me that. Oh no, I gotta have this. I gotta have this Hostess Twinkie. You see people get up in the morning and they running to get their coffee and Hostess Twinkie. Just like you get up in the morning and the brother got an alcohol addiction. He the first one in front of the liquor store. The same behavior. Okay? And I wish that people would really take holistic science, and because it's not hard, okay, seriously. Okay? Go ahead.
I couldn't understand why when I was a child I loved milk, whole milk. I drank that stuff by the gallon.
Yeah.
Today, I drink more than 8 ounces and I'm running straight to the bathroom. It just go right through.
Yeah.
Right through. But I still crave it.
Yeah.
I just
get you diarrhea.
I can't.
Yeah.
Just
it's not. And I think the word is casein. That's a protein in the foods, you know, that accelerate and then lowers. Okay? Mm-hmm. You know, I don't be telling people, don't never drink. You gonna have, it has no power. It's weak. And so the alcohol takes over. Because you've been eating processed chemicals, food dirt, all your life. You're addicted. Okay? Nobody has the courage to say, you know, we can't eat this food that we've been eating all our life. They have you talking about denial. Okay? Go to a sugar addict. Go to a fried food addict and try to take that fried chicken away from them. They'll beat your butt. Mm-hmm. They don't even know they're addicted. And it's classes like this that bring it out. They can reevaluate. Okay? Mm-hmm. And say, oh, wow. You know, this is logical. You're sitting up there eating ice cream and you're eating turpentine. Okay? Deodorizers. Flea killers. They put all this stuff in the foods, bro. You understand what I'm saying? And we're ingesting them. And wondering why all we crave, and we don't know we're craving chemicals because we think the food are actually foods. Okay? So the addictive cycle started, when we were 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And until we acknowledge that, all right. Okay. until we acknowledge that, there's not much anyone can do for you. You're gonna live life sick, going to the doctor, thinking that it's normal. Okay. You get 40, you're supposed to gain weight. That's not true. Okay. But we're gonna close it here. This was just the introduction. Hopefully more people will take interest in it.
I'm gonna spread the word.
Yeah. But if it ain't nothing but 1 or 2 people, I'm gonna teach anyway. Okay? I'm not about crowds or celebrity. I want people to really understand what's going on so that we can experience what? Freedom. Okay? And in holism, freedom means having the ability to reach your highest potential. Addiction kills that potential. Okay? Addiction kills our potential of growth. Not only alcohol addiction, not only cocaine addiction, but food addiction also. Okay? When you 40 and you say, well, you start gaining weight because the metabolism slows a little bit, what you're supposed to do is cut your intake down as your metabolism slows in life. Okay? But if you still at 40 eating like you 20, yeah, you're going to gain weight. And you say, well, it's just normal. No, it's not normal. Okay? It's not normal. If you play by the rules, okay, my metabolism is slow and my body's not breaking down the food, so I gotta decrease my intake of food. I can't eat that whole cake. It's just logic. Mm-hmm. And when you understand, like a lot of Africa taught us, you gotta understand how the body works. An apple, they say, is not, doesn't have alkaline. No, not on the outside of the body. But when you put it, it goes through a process where it becomes an alkaline food. Okay? If you use hybrid food, in order to kill the negative effect of hybrid food, you mix it with green, leafy vegetables. Okay? So there's a reason for everything. I'm not the kind that say, no, you can't have a beer, bro. Okay? No, you can't put no drugs in you, because if you get your leg broken, you're in pain, you better you got to take this pain away. Those are emergency food. Emergency ways you can use things. I don't never say never. I look at the condition and the position that you're in. Mm-hmm. If you're using heroin for pleasure, no, bro, don't do that. But if you break your leg and somebody give you and take away that pain, okay, I ain't got no problem with that. Okay? I try not to be dogmatic, because when you're dogmatic and put no, people gonna be turned off by it. It's what? Freedom. Okay, so that's it for today, and we'll see you and hopefully other people will come, because I really want to see people free. Okay. Because we're going to always have things that we're going to have to contend with. All right? So I'm not totally free. Because I grew up, it's been since 82 that I've been practicing this. And I still have appetites and stuff that I have to deny every day. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to end it right now. But thank you for coming in. Okay. Share with those.